The 141st anniversary of Custer's last stand is next Sunday. It turns out there's more to the story of that epic battle, as Mo Rocca now tells us.
Every summer, along the banks of Montana's Little Bighorn River, the strains of the 7th Cavalry's fight song are heard. As Colonel George Armstrong Custer leads a bold charge on an Indian encampment, reenacting the battle that took place here on June 25, 1876.
The sky is raining arrows, gunfire, smoke, yelling, screaming, cursing.
Ranger Steve Adelson describes a terrifying cauldron of fear and violence.
2 moons a Cheyenne chief. We swirled around the soldiers like water around a stone. How long did the battle last? He said about as long as it takes for a hungry man to eat his dinner.
In little more than an hour, Custer and more than 200 of his men were dead. The battle itself was short and decisive. Its legacy, anything but. And the man at the center, says historian Nathaniel Philbrick, is as fiercely debated as ever.
Custer is a lightning rod. He's one of those guys at the time he was living. People either loved him, worshiped him, or despised him, thought he was a fool.
I think he was always reckless, but I think he was lucky, and his luck ran out right here.
So you think Custer just rushed in?
Yeah, he thought we were going to leave, you know? But little did he know he was entering the biggest encampment in Indian country.
Even though he captured more battle flags, more for Confederate prisoners than any other officer during the war, the single day of his life, the last day, is what he's remembered for.
And how that day and Custer are remembered has changed over time.
When I was a kid, he was the hero, because I had seen they died with their boots on. Heroic betrayal. Then I think I was a freshman in high school, and I saw a Little Big Man.
Sound the charge!
Custer is the deranged maniac, a caricature almost of a Vietnam-era imperialist.
As a youth, Custer didn't seem destined for greatness.
He finished last in his class at West Point?
Yes, and he knows how to play the game of how bad can I behave and not get kicked out. And so for him, he was playing that line.
Who finished first in his class?
Exactly.
There
Who
you
cares?
go.
But Custer's bravery in battle was unquestioned. A brigadier general for the Union Army at 23, he became a Civil War hero.
And at Gettysburg, he has his horse shot from underneath him?
Yeah, it was looking like the Confederates just might pull it off. The only person between them and that fate was Custer. And Custer and his Wolverines, the Michiganders, unleashed an incredible charge.
Is he an adrenaline junkie?
Custer loved the thrill of anything, and there was nothing more thrilling than being in battle.
Except perhaps dressing up in black velvet uniforms adorned with gold braid.
There are more pictures of Custer than any figure at that time. He's so vain, and he knows how to work the camera. I mean, this is the social media of its day.
He would have been a monster on Instagram.
And yes, Instagram, and he could have done pretty well on Twitter, too.
But by 1876, the Custer luster had faded. A military victory out west could restore some of that shine.
He's 36. He's towards the end of his career. He's been dabbling in the stock market, silver mines, losing his shirt. He's got hopes of a lecture tour if he can come back a hero. He's desperate.
And the country, preparing to celebrate its centennial, was desperate too, for Indian land, including the gold-rich Black Hills of the Dakota Territory. Land sacred to the Lakota that the U.S. government had only years before granted them forever.
The stakes were literally life and death for the Lakota. Their buffalo population upon which they depended had been decimated. The last remaining significant herd was in Montana, and that's why the Battle of Little Bighorn would be fought in that location.
The story you're going to hear is the Indian version of the Battle of the Little Bighorn.
Part of the battle took place on land owned today by brothers Jim and Henry Reelbird.
We just swam along the river, and then we would find bullets and shell casings. That's from the battle.
Their family has staged the annual reenactment for 26 years now.
How was the battle taught in school when you were growing up?
Just mentioned briefly in the encyclopedia like that, and that's all there was to it.
What we do know is that Custer met his match in Chief Sitting Bull.
45 years old, too old to fight, but not to lead. He exhorts the warriors on. Brave up! Brave up! Strong hearts to the front, cowards to the rear. Ho-ka-hey! It's a good day to die.
On that late June morning, Custer was undaunted by reports that his men were outnumbered by the Indians.
He's gone up against insurmountable odds oftentimes during the Civil War and come out victorious by being aggressive.
And on top of the ridge, Custer.
But the Indians didn't run, and they did fight.
Eagle bone whistles shrieking across the battlefield in the dust and the smoke. It was apocalyptic chaos.
George Armstrong Custer's mutilated body was recovered days later.
According to native oral tradition, his ears had been pierced with awls so that he could hear better in the afterlife.
The expression on his face?
A smile, a triumphant smile. And that is just the mystery of Custer.
The victory for the Indians was short-lived. Within 2 years, most were confined to reservations.
This was a battle over
Land, without a doubt, land. Who would occupy it, how it would be used, and who would be allowed to traverse across it.
At the Little Bighorn Battlefield National Monument, Custer's men are memorialized where they fell. The Indian warriors who lost their lives are remembered too, on what is today known as Last Stand Hill.
This place talks to you. You don't have to strain to hear it. There's a mystical aura to it. It is a spiritual place.